everybody, welcome. It's been a while since I've done PulseChain video. Of course, you know I love it. I love PulseChain. I think it is the fantastic holy grail, really. Obviously, we've got Ethereum, and the fees are horrendous on Ethereum, despite the London fork and stuff. And Ethereum 2.0 is going to come up, but we don't even know, even when it does come, whether it will actually be that effective versus the gas prices as well. So I think just on that basis alone, PulseChain is going to be awesome. But we're going to talk about a lot of stuff around that during this hangout, PulseChain hangout. So I hope you enjoy that for sure. We've got business EM2K's in the house. What's up? Hey, good to see you, business EM2K. Hey, if you're watching, get into the chat, folks. We're going to be live streaming for a pretty decent period of time on PulseChain today. So as I'm going to try and do as many as I can, covering PulseChain going up, because I truly think that it covers all the bases. It's going to be layer one. It's going to cover the biggest, most valuable chain on the planet, Ethereum. Really, that's actually being used compared to Bitcoin, for example. It's also going to mean that you own your keys, you own the coins. It's also going to provide a lot of economic opportunities, particularly for people that missed out on, say, Hex, for example, or any of the other tokens early on. So a pretty awesome stuff, and it's going to be the biggest airdrop in history, and it's going to be the Wild West for value discovery. So much there, folks. It's really going to be amazing. And of course, it's led by the iconic Richard Hart. And so we're going to check a lot of that stuff out during the live stream. So hopefully you guys enjoy it. Get into the chat, get your questions in there, get discussion going. We've got probably going to have our moderators, Alex, coming on there. It's going to be pretty awesome. Hey, we've got Drix Madison in the house. Can't wait for price discovery. Absolutely, man. It's going to be insane. It's going to be absolutely insane. So pretty cool. Hey, Thomas and James in the house. Hey, man. Hope all is well. All is well, Thomas. Do appreciate that. Thank you very much. And as people come on board, we're going to just enjoy this big hangout chat on PulseChain. Pretty epic. Now, obviously, a lot of people talking about PulseChain and the opportunities. And so here you're going to hear another opinion from me, and hopefully you enjoy that too. A1 gets some, enjoying for sure. PulseChain will dominate the globe. Yeah, I think people are underestimating how influential PulseChain is going to be. Now, we know that what are all the big things getting valued up at the moment? We know NFTs are being valued up. So the big projects behind that are getting valued up, like Phantasma Chain and chains like that are getting valued up. The NFTs are getting valued up. We know that's a big deal. We know obviously gaming's doing well. We know that the swaps are doing well. So all the swaps are doing well in terms of getting valued a higher. Pancake swap, Uniswap, all of swap things. We know that bridges have been taking on a decent amount of value as well. So more bridges, cross-chain bridges, and that's only going to grow. That trend will only grow. So we know that those are doing very well as well. We obviously know that DeFi lending, if you've got a really quality DeFi lending product, and especially if it's got leverage on it, we know those are getting valued up by the crypto market. So it really is exciting value opportunities out there at the moment. And PulseChain is going to hit it with a storm. Remember, Richard said that there's an ecosystem around that as well. And he's trying to have it stand alone, but also take big market share. It's going to be pretty epic, folks, and I'm pretty excited about it as well. Hey, we've got Alex K, our chief moderator on this channel, in the house there. PulseChain stream, love it. Hey, me too, Alex. So get into it. It's going to be a lot of fun. Let's get into it. Of course, let's just recap on some of the phases. We already had the sacrifice phase, and now that's still got a long tail on it. So people that obviously got in start of 10,000 points per dollar. Now that's been compounded once it finished. It's been going up 1.05% per day. So it's now, I understand the last time I checked the factor, it was like probably 19 times more expensive or something like that. So I generally suggest to you, obviously not investment advice, but if you don't sacrifice for the PulseChain, I would say, as I've got a poll up there at the moment in the chat there, the poll is pretty much, let me just quickly check that. Let me just check this. I'm just going on YouTube here. So the poll that I've got on today: when will you most likely buy Pulse? I got like there, but it's supposed to be likely. When will you most likely buy Pulse? Launch day, which could be that as soon as it opens, you're there waiting to go, get on there. Obviously, if you've got a copy of Hex and stuff like that, you'll get a copy on PulseChain, all that sort of thing. Any post-launch opportunity. So that means you'll just keep hunting for opportunities of dips in the price between, even if it does parabolic moves. Obviously, price discovery can be chaotic at first, but then you can start moving into some parabolas. So we'll watch out for that. Any post-launch opportunity, cool. DCA, it means dollar cost averaging, means buying a bit every so often over time. And we've got hunt any opportunities. In other words, you're going to hunt any opportunities that do come in the year and the next 2 years to come. So a much longer horizon than any post-launch opportunity. So post-launch opportunity, topically in crypto, we have this big rise, price discovery, and then we get this big pullback, right? And then it moves up over time. And it's when it has that pullback, a lot of people sell, and then that means that you've got a chance, any post-launch opportunity, to come in and buy that. And but like Hex did, Hex had a launch. Now they're not the same, so I'm not going to compare the exactly same. But typically in crypto, you get the big rise at the beginning, and then you get this big sell-off, of course, because people make, when the price goes up this high, they make a lot of X returns, and so they sell down, and then slowly over time, depending on the project, it will start rising, unless of course the project's just got poor tokenomics and no demand, then it will fall flat. But if it does, typically like this, and it will slowly move up over time, especially in a bull market. So there we are. So that's what we're talking about there. But DCAing time just means getting a little bit over time, and hunt any opportunities means that if you see a big pullback in the market, you'll be there to buy some. When people are fearful, you'll come in and snap those up. So I've got an interesting array there of people in the moment, 9 votes. So we'll check that during the end of the live stream, and maybe a couple of times during it, and see how we get on with that poll. But pretty cool, interesting to see. All right, so let's quickly get back to the key benefits. Let's just reflect on what PulseChain is, and then we'll get into so much stuff. There's so much stuff to cover since I haven't been on here for a while talking about it. Ethereum fees will be lowered by sharing its load. So that's pretty cool. Obviously, being a copy system, so that copy of Ethereum that will be able to share the load in terms of demand. And obviously, we know that Uniswap originally was driving a lot of gas prices on Ethereum, and of course the NFT boom, particularly on OpenSea and places like that, have been supercharged these fees. So the Ethereum, like I can see the gas price at the moment, 180. So we'll actually pull that up actually as well. Let's pull it up on gas now, and you can see that the gas prices are still just ridiculous, really. So yeah, let's just check that out. So look at this, 200 on the way. I mean, it's the Sano, boop, boop, boop. So there we've got $14, $16 fast. Look at 220. I mean, this is Sano. Yesterday, of course, the weekends are typically best for gas prices. Saturday, Sunday, particularly Saturday wasn't typically a typical day. The previous 5 days before that was very high gas. Yesterday, Sunday, there was a few opportunities to get down into the 40s, but other than that, it's been pretty high. You can see the swaps at the moment. Look at these swaps at the moment, just horrendous, $80 to $100. I mean, it's just insane. Let's go to OpenSea, of course, with the NFTs. $300. Oh my gosh, it's insane. So what's a good comparison at the moment? Obviously, Polygon has gone over to as showing what PulseChain might be like. So obviously NFTs on OpenSea have been pretty massive. And a Polygon has been an explosive on there because the prices are less than a penny typically, and so it's completely different. So you're seeing a boom on the Polygon chain. The only thing with Polygon, of course, is second layer stuff, but the positive. So that's the concern that you might have. But on the positive, it's got a huge ecosystem developing on it. So that's the positive, right? So you've got to balance those two off. But anyway, here is the charge, $304. So you can see the way the Polygon is less than a penny. It gives you the upside, of course, with PulseChain. So PulseChain is going to be, that gives you a reflection of what PulseChain is going to be like in terms of getting that low cost transactions. But you don't have the concern that you might have with Polygon, where you actually own the keys, you own the coins. So you don't have any of those type of concerns around that, of course. All right, let's go look over the last week, of course, of the gas prices. I mean, super high, 325, 408, 322. I mean, see all this, the red stuff here is pretty high. As you can see, yesterday was on Sunday, which is typically a low gas day. You saw that towards the end of the day, up towards the evening here, my time, it was lower. 53, 56, 57 Quay, but you see today's back up again, just too high, too high. And so this is, look at this, 500 Quay. I mean, Bruno. So the opportunity for PulseChain is a humongous, humongous. And because the system state copy of Ethereum, it's just a no-brainer, right? Just a no-brainer. And let's bring up nomics.com as well. We're going to talk about value here, right? We're talking about value. And we're just talking about the common sense, logical value that PulseChain is going to offer. It's going to be pretty epic. So it's not only just going to take a load of Ethereum, it's taking demand off Ethereum, right? So it's taking value in that sense. So let's get a look on nomics.com. We've got Ethereum here sitting at 408 billion in market cap. Obviously, market cap as just almost it's not useful figure, but it's indicative of what people are expecting in the financial markets traditionally. 408 billion. We can see the Hex is at 245. So 408 just shows you that if you have PulseChain, you can get just an indicative side of where the value can go. And this, of course, with price, there's nothing stopping price, and the market cap just keep going up and up and up. So once again, a bit of a vanity measure, but interesting nevertheless, just to show the potential that's out there for PulseChain, which is going to be a system state copy of Ethereum. So the only one out there, it's going to be pretty awesome, and I'm excited about that. So hope you are too. All right, so let's quickly get into some of the comments here. Very high this weekend, but I was able to catch the low 50s. Hey, lucky there, Alex. One get some says buy Hex now, get a free copy on the PulseChain side after it launches, then wait for parity. Yeah, so I think that's the best strategy right now. A1 get some. I think that's the best strategy if you want to get rather than buy sacrifice. Now I heard yesterday there was someone that sacrificed 94 Ethereum and got a terrible rate for that. That's like $300,000 or something, and they would have got a fraction. I think it would have cost them $6,700, the same amount of pulse points back at the sacrifice, and yet they paid something like 300,000 to get the same equivalent amount. So just insane. Like I said, last time I checked, it was like a factor of 19 higher, and I just would suggest you don't sacrifice. Just wait for opportunities once PulseChain launches. One gets some says cake type token. Yeah, that's right. So this is actually not going to, it's going to be, remember there's going to be a number of tokens. There's going to be Pulse token. There's going to be, and that's going to be Pulse token. And obviously there'll be one over on the Ethereum. There's going to be Pulse Hex, P Hex, and ETH Hex, of course, which is already existing, E Hex. And then you're going to have the liquidity. There's going to be a liquidity pool, right, over on the Pulse chain. And so there's going to be a reward token for that, right? And there's going to Pulse Swap, I think, is the token. So it's going to be pretty amazing to see all that economic value take up. It's going to be pretty epic, man. Honestly, and OJs, everyone that's around at the moment, OGs for Pulse, and it's going to be truly epic. Really is going to be good. Lion Wings in the house. Oh, Jeff's in the house. Hi there, Jeff. Good. Jeff won a Axiom branded Legend Nano the other day. Congratulations to you, Jeff, and big shout out. Lion Wings, hi everybody, and good to see Lions in the house. And Alex, it's crazy people still sacrificing Pulse. It's a reflection of the excitement for the launch. It is a reflection of the excitement, and that's the other thing I want to talk about. So thanks for pivoting that, Alex. And that is PulseChain's excitement is really big. Obviously, the community is huge now. Obviously, Telegram passed Hex on the number of users. Then it's not just the Hex community, but there's all these other communities. Obviously, this is Axiom Token Channel, so we're talking about it, but there's lots of people talking about it all over in different projects. People have taken notice. There's lots of millionaires that have got involved in the project and wanting to build on the project. There's this big ecosystem vision that Rich has talked about, including a better MetaMask wallet and all that sort of stuff. So there's all these components going to come together and make the holy grail of crypto, a crypto ecosystem. So it's really is going to be impressive with PulseChain, and everyone here is OGs, man. You should be slapping yourself, slap. I mean, it's going to be good times. And so lots of fun there, folks, for sure. And look at these gas prices; it just never ends, never ends. So the use case for the market fit for PulseChain is epic. And we already looked at the value. The value is epic too. And once again, I think probably the best strategy is just pick up some Hex at the moment. You get a copy of on the PulseChain as PHEX. Obviously, not investment advice. You've got to do your own due diligence, but it's just my opinions as well. Infotainment, as we like to say it. But pretty exciting. So that's right. Increased Ethereum value and rich ETH uses. PulseChains will re-enable priced out use cases instead of launching empty. PulseChain brings the ETH system state in ERC20s. This rewards holders and founders of Ethereum-based projects. As I said earlier, a lot of DeFi is getting priced out because of the S-load function and just the cost of swapping everything else on the Ethereum platform. The other side of it is obviously it's enabled opportunities for other chains. We've seen all these other chains jump up and play, including second layer of solutions like Polygon. And of course, that's been able to open up NFT trading. And so you've seen the active users on Polygon overtake Ethereum in the last week. You've seen the explosive NFTs, etc. And so Ethereum is going to be even better because it's going to be layer one. People are going to own the keys to the own the keys and then own the coins. So that's a huge up value as well. So we mustn't forget that. Right, enrich ERC20 and NFT users. The launch of PulseChain is the largest airdrop in history. So that's the other thing. You've already got your ETH bags, and now you're going to get a copy of them over on PulseChain and all the price discovery. Oh my God! I just want to just when the more you think about it, the crazier it is. It just seems amazing. And thousands of Ethereum-based tokens and NFTs received their free Pulse coin versions. The new gold rush. It really is. And everybody watching here that's involved, of course, is in the game. You're in the game and you're an early OG. Really is pretty cool. This new gold rush contains the value discovery of thousands of tokens and NFTs on PulseChain. If you always wanted to be a whale in a certain ERC20 or NFT, maybe now you can. So it's pretty awesome. Now, I knew a couple stories here. Obviously, I'm a Hex OG myself, and I've had a number of people contact me back in the day, back in the early days of Hex, and they sold out. They sold out their stuff, and I said to them, don't do it, don't do it. But they sold out, and because this is the thing. So when you get little gains, you might get some little mad gains. You got to see the big long picture, and obviously just be careful about your decision making. Going with the emotions, and of course, I think just you got to think about your options. But typically, just hodling. Obviously, people hodled Hex. They were up stupendously, right? So people have gone from $30 stakes are now worth $6,000 stakes, that sort of thing. So you just got to take that into account. That short-term profits versus long-term upside, especially as it price discoveries. So really take your time to think through that, ask questions, don't rush into stuff like this. This is pretty special. Once again, this has got a strong leader as well in terms of Richard Hart, is only gaining more prominence in the crypto space as well. So just pretty exciting, folks, pretty exciting. Obviously, Hex has the best chart in the last 2 years. I think there's pretty stellar. So people are backing not just the fact that PulseChain's an amazing market fit with awesome value opportunities and the first system state copy of Ethereum. I mean, it's mind-blowing, really. But also the fact that Richard's shown that he can help gamify and bring on and grow the community, because those things have to go together. Good gamification and growing your market, growing the number of investors to get it to a critical point at the top where you get that super value, super X's pumped up there. So some really great stuff going on there. We're going to check out a lot of that shortly as well. So get to that. So obviously it's going to be easy to use. Your MetaMask wallet just works. You just have to change a single setting to your PulseChain. Basically switch it over to the PulseChain one. ETH holders can transact for free with freemium Pulse as well. So that's going to be really cool. Lower PulseChain fees and serve more users. PulseChain increases the throughput of Ethereum by 4 times by using 3-second block times, which means congestion is going to take much longer to happen on the PulseChain. It's going to be pretty cool for that. It's around 13 seconds. Remove pollution. So it's going to be obviously proof of stake versus proof of work. Improve game theory. PLS has 0% inflation, which means that when we start off on launch day of the mainnet, PulseChain mainnet, that's going to be the maximum amount of pulse. It's only going down from there. It's only going down from there. So it's pretty epic. It's only going down from there, the amount of supply, and of course with such a big demand you can see that over time it's going to be pretty epic. Plus, obviously, there's some of all the fees that get transaction get there's get 25% of them get burnt, so you can see that here, and reduced circulating supply. So the gamification's already started off there, but obviously if you're starting off with huge demand, you're going to get there faster, right? Way faster. So just take that into consideration. PulseChain's native token PLS can be staked and delegated to validators that reward the delegators with the largest percent of the fees. So don't forget, if you want to, when you know that the supply is going down, it's going to start with the maximum supply at the beginning. It's going to have burning, which is going to slowly decrease it with the turnover on all the projects, DeFi and everything else, NFTs. You get it, it's all going to get churned over. That if you're delegated, you're going to get a little bit more of that volume that's decreasing, and of course people are transacting, so you're going to get a bit more of that volume, and so you're going to slowly increase your volume bags. It's quite cool like that, and so think about that. It's pretty amazing stuff. So obviously there's going to interoperability bridge. I'm stuttering there. So now some people talked about that not being available first day. People have been strategizing that, but I think that probably will be available. Trading, we'll just see though. Trading thousands of ERC20s on tokens on PulseChain can trade on Uniswap. So there's going to obviously be a copy of that on version 2. Version 3 is licensed, remember, so take that into account. TrixMax says exactly what a poor deal. It was meant to be a sacrifice, not a sacrifice. Yeah, says Trix. Yeah, that's true. Alex, well, if you think about it, it is increasing the value of the chain for everybody. Well, it is, but I think it's you want people to get the best deal up the front. So just the way it goes. Lion Wing says, "I'm pumped, so excited. I am too, and couldn't wait to do this live stream. I've sort of been meaning to do it and not get quite around to it. So pretty awesome stuff. So there's going to be all these different charts. Richard's going to be talking about all the different charts, not just Hex now. He's going to be talking about eHex, Pulse Hex, Pulse, ePulse, Pulse Swap. There's all these tokens charts that are going to be up there, and of course it offers a lot of opportunities to all of us that are keen to get involved after we've done our due diligence, of course. All right, so that's pretty much on the website. Let's quickly go. Obviously gas prices just come down there, but we've talked about that. Let's get into Richard Hart's tweets. Obviously back on the 29th of September, the second stage. So first stage we'll say was a sacrifice, which has kind of got this long tail on it, because Richard doesn't want, people want to keep sacrificing. Richard didn't want to get into the administration complexity of having to refund people or deal with people's anger or not being refund, all that sort of stuff. So it's just got that factor going up. So the PulseChain testnet went live on 29th, and actually we did a live stream on that day. That's the last time I did a live stream, was on the 29th. No, so that was pretty cool. The faucet for test coins and front end for staking Pulse and delegating stakes aren't released yet, so they've been released now, but we're going to check that out too. Your existing ETH balances come from T-Pulse in the testnet, so if you've got stuff on the address on the Ethereum side, then if you switch over to the PulseChain testnet, it will copy over. Alex did some of that, our head moderator here, did some of that first day as well, so Alex was already transferring stuff, I think, so having a bit of fun with that. Trix says, do you think there will be a price discovery on stablecoins? Well, that's the big thing. That's the big question. Obviously, will the custodians on Ethereum manage that and not do any blockage on the stablecoins? And secondly, what will be the price discovery on the stablecoins? My personal opinion is that that they'll go to par. They'll go to 1-to-1. And give or take, I mean, there'll be a bit of volatility, but I think they'll pretty much go to par and act as a stable coin. And I think there's other evidence for that before, where we've seen when it's supposed to be 1-to-1 backed, not be backed by a 1-to-1, maybe 70%. I can't remember what it is. I can't remember the example, but it was well less than 1-to-1 backed with real US dollars, and it still kept the value. So I think the market will price it and perceive it as dollar. Give or take, it will have some fluctuations, is my guess. So yeah, that's my answer to that one, Trix. Switch to crypto. Stoked. Yeah, stoked. I'm actually stoked too. And one Get Some says some are speculating a 250x in the first 90 days after launch. Be prepared, people. PulseChain is coming. Yeah, it's going to be pretty huge. And possibly, yeah, you could get a lot more acceleration in the price pump compared to even Hex when it launched, because there's so many people involved and such a lot of big money involved as well. So it's going to be pretty interesting. Like I say, there's quite a few people setting up to try and build out on the ecosystem to make huge businesses with high returns. So they've got a lot invested. I think is it over? I just forget, Overreach. Overreach. Forgot over something. Alex might remember. They're definitely doing stuff in the ecosystem. So it's going to be pretty epic. I think it's going to blow people's minds. There's a lot of other people, of course, talking to billionaires are in the house. So people were talking to billionaires, trying to introduce them into the PulseChain opportunity and Hex as well. So pretty awesome. I think there's going to be some investment vehicles like there are for Bitcoin into Pulse and Hex ecosystems. I think that's all going to come. I think 2022 is just going to be a supercharged acceleration of the ecosystem at the moment. So that's going to be pretty epic. And so getting into time frame, I'm expecting, as I've said this earlier, I expected December would probably be the case. And look, a dev came out the other day, said that it looks like December. And of course, I thought it would be pretty romantic if it was the 2nd December, because that would be the 2-year anniversary of Hex launching, which we were all at the time. If you were there for the Hex launch, it was pretty exciting. And there was massive FOMO the first day, massive FOMO. So it is going to be pretty exciting to see this play out as well on the first day. It's going to be a bit chaotic. Some people will get confused. Some people will make mistakes. Hey, if you think you're going to make a mistake, just don't do something. That's when you're the case. Otherwise, you end up making more likely to make a mistake with maybe transferring or whatever that's going to be up with. There's a bridge or trading and stuff like that. It's going to be just, yeah, it's going to be pretty epic. Remember, all prices start from 0 on PulseChain. So it's going to be a bit of fun there as well. All right, so that was there. That was the testnet went live on 29th September, and we're just going to go through some of Richard's tweets here as well. Actually, let's jump over to GitLab. So this is gitlab.com. So this is where the actual testnet is. I'll post this in the chat if you want to check it out as well in your own time. That's the testnet there. Bam. All right, so you can see that the last updates on here were a week ago here, but it's got the public testnet. Is up and running, and what else they got? Click the drop down so you can add the custom network. You can add the testnet network there. Obviously, the blockchain explorer we checked out last time when it launched. Scan.pulsechain.com shows you all the activity that's going on there at the moment. Obviously, they're just pumping transactions through there to test it out. There's also users on there as well. And yeah, got lots of cool stuff in here with the nodes. You can set up your own nodes, stuff like that's a bit more involved, but you can do it fairly well if you've got everything set up here. So that's pretty much that. And we're going to jump over to the testnet. This is the faucet. So the faucet wasn't running up initially, but that's up now. So we received one TPLS, so per request. So that's testnet pulse token, and of course serving as well. So you've got all that there. You can even add PulseChain testnet to MetaMask just by clicking here. So it's pretty easy. So that's up and running. Here's actually a scan.pulsechain.com. So that's pretty cool. I'll post that in the chat there. Bam. All right. So there we are. That's scan.pulsechain.com if you want to check this out. This obviously, look, all the transaction happening at the moment. Pretty cool. Average block time, 3 seconds. 409 million transactions. Total blocks, 13.6 million. Wallets, 61 million there. And you've got the transactions happening in real time. Pretty cool. 2 seconds ago. Look at it. It's just going for gold like that. So you get view all transactions down the bottom here. I think this is a little delayed updating, but this has got your blocks running at the moment. So let's see what this one here's done as well. We'll just have a look at some of these transactions. So what are they doing? They got the gas limit 21,000, which is the standard one. They got what else here? Gas price 1 gwei. Now obviously Polygon had 1 gwei, it moved up to 30 gwei. So that's been an increase in value there. It'd be interesting to see how PulseChain manages that price management as well. Value is 1 ETH there, was transferred. And look at the fraction of a fee there, folks. Woohoo! Obviously, it's a testnet, but still, that's pretty amazing as well. So pretty much a fraction there. So looking good as well. Obviously, no price on there, but pretty nice on there. What else? We got logs. We got logs in there. Yes, logs and stuff like that in there. No logs on that one. All right, so pretty cool. Now there's obviously a lot of other transactions on there, doing a few other things, no doubt. So you can check a lot of that stuff out. You got the blocks, of course, transactions, even accounts, and I'm not sure what the token. Actually, let's change it to night mode. I think we can do night mode. Yeah, woohoo! Night mode. Yeah, I love night mode. So pretty cool on that. You got testnet there. Got a few other things drop down there as well. What's the APIs on there? graph, RPC, ETH, RPC, tokens. What's on the tokens there? So you've got a lot of cool stuff here on the testnet. Sweet. So looking good. What else we got in there? Let's go here. We've got switch to crypto says link the faucet, please, so I can add to MetaMask quickly. Yeah, okay, let's pull that up. And here's the here it is here. So this is for you, switch to crypto. Bam, that's the testnet faucet there. If you want to just quickly link up the PulseChain testnet to your wallet, MetaMask wallet, for example, and also you can get some more TPLS sent to your address. Pretty cool. What else? Alex got something here. Block Scout calls it ETH, but it's a TPLS. Yeah, that's right. Business 2 cases. Whoop whoop. Whoop, whoop. Yeah, I love that excitement, man. And Alex Casey's my test account got TPLS and also liquid Hex too. Nice, I like that. So Alex definitely been playing around with that for a while. So very cool. That's all the transactions as well. So we can go back to, let's go back to the block scout here. So we've got all those transactions going through. Let's see what one of the latest ones here. Let's we've got a miner there, transaction 0. Let's go through another one here. Let's just go randomly down here. 1 ETH actually tells us what's in the play here. 1 ETH there as well. What else? Let's view all transactions. So we might as well spend just a tiny bit of time here on the old testnet, the PulseChain testnet. And of course, when it goes live, that you're going to have this, Explorer like this, just like you do on Etherscan, to see go through all your, your wallet, your balances, your tokens, transactions on the blockchain, the blocks, all that sort of stuff is going to be able to see all that stuff. So pretty cool. So it's got 0 Ether. I'm not sure what this one is. Let's have a quick look at this one. It's got some funny gas limits, gas used by transaction. So pretty cool. 99% blocks index. We're experiencing chain right now. Some of the accounts may be inaccurate. So that's some pretty cool stuff there. What's on validated pending transactions, blocks, uncles, fork blocks, reorgs, accounts. So there's a few things there you can play around with. There's also a search box, so you can check that out. Not sure if there's anything at the bottom of the page. Oh yeah, there is. Submit an issue, contribute. Chat, support, POA, main networks and stuff like that. So a bit of a little extra information there as well. All right, so that's pretty cool. So also on the PulseChain on Twitter, they also had that on the 29th. So that was what Richard retweeted. Let's have a quick on PulseChain. Since then, the testnet was fought from blocked 13,224,545. That was on the 29th when the Pulse testnet launched. This testnet will probably get reset in a week or two to test the airdrop code sacrifice set. Well, we are in the future now, aren't we? It is the 10th or 11th, depending on where you are in the world. And so we're well ahead of there now, about 11 days. So almost 2 weeks. So pretty cool. Report all the horrible fake MetaMask support scammers for phishing that posted in every thread with the word MetaMask in it. So just be careful of that. Currently adding more memory. This is on the 30th and reloading the testnet. So they did that on the 30th as well. And a nice little 1/30th. It's up with increased power. So that was put back up there. And that's pretty much it on the PulseChain Twitter there. That's pretty much it there. So we'll jump back to Richard's one. I'm going to close out of this one here. And of course, let's go back here. So that's some stuff happening there. Lion Wing says great info. Hey, you're most welcome. I'm passionate about PulseChain. I know Alex is as well, and so it's just going to be super awesome. Richard's been doing a lot of promos. Doing I think the documentary video. I don't know if you've seen the little was it pre-reel. You can find it on this channel. I think I posted that documentary video of Richard's pretty awesome. That's just a preview of what the full documentary is going to look like, and it's done by I think it's Emmy award-winning producers there, so it looks going to be pretty epic. All right, so got lots of stuff here from Richard. This is back on the 30th. I'm just going to jump through a few of these. Richard having a good time, of course, here in I think Zurich, is it? Somewhere like that. Can't remember exactly. Rich people stuff, lol. So pretty nice there. So lots of good, cool stuff. Let me just jump through here as well. Now, Richard's been driving through Europe at the moment. Let's just jump through here. Just trying to jump through to the PulseChain stuff. So Hexagon Paris Fashion Week. See my Ferrari. Try PulseChain.com. Testnet. PulseChain messages on the 2nd of October. This is the thumbnail I've used for the live stream today. I think it's pretty cool. It's really, you know, power punch there from Richard. Pretty cool. Yeah, looking good. All right, so lots of stuff there. Looks like the Hexagons community's been having a lot of fun there with some of the Hex influencers there. What else has been going on? Let's have a look, jump through here. So there's some want decentralization in all things, but except coins. Bitcoin wants 7 second transactions per second. Visi does 1,700 on average. Want 42% of the supply in 2,000 addresses. Bitcoin want to pump venture capitalists billionaire bags. You guessed it, Bitcoin. So just a couple of little promos there from him. Let's just jump through some of this stuff. Let's have a look here. So quite a lot of stuff around him traveling around Europe in this cool Ferrari. What else we got there? Let's jump in up here. Meeting up in Paris and places. So Richard's been really busy doing that stuff, but I think they are doing a lot of documentary videos while they're doing that tour as well. Now this is something I'm looking forward to. This is not exact. This is a Staker app is going to do version 2, and it's my understanding it's going to integrate PulseChain and obviously have Hex on there and stuff like that. So it's going to really broaden the ecosystem. Some of the UI snapshots look amazing for Staker app version 2. So I'm looking forward to that. So you got Steph here from Staker app there with picture with Richard, and I think that looks pretty cool. They're having a differently fun there, so I'm excited about that. That really got me going when I saw the Staker app, Steph from Staker app on there, because you know it's going to be pretty epic stuff. And I love the Staker app, and the second version looks amazing. Looks super space age. So I imagine it's going to include a lot of crossover there within the PulseChain as well. So pretty cool. We're just going to scroll through some of this. What happens when someone's $1 million Ethereum NFT copy goes on sale on PulseChain? Nice question there. What does happen to NFT value? That's pretty hilarious. So in Amsterdam, which is in Amsterdam here, back on the 7th. What else we got going on there? Just going through here. Hex is like Bitcoin with proof of change, different miners. Soon PulseChain will replace ETH and BTC miners. Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo! You got to get FOMO when you see that sort of stuff, right? Follow. Yes, that's this way. PulseChain.com. Yeah, that's pretty cool. What else we got going on there? So lots of meetups there. This was an amazing meetup. This one here, 150 people meet up here. So it was pretty amazing. That's on the 8th. So cool picture there of all the meetup people there. What else got going on there? X.com. Let's jump back up here. Buy desk is closing. That was interesting. What else? This is back on the 7th out, 7 hours. So now we're up to the latest days, so 7 hours ago. What knows beats Hex.com. So a cool ad there. What else is going here? Now there's a big US road trip of Hex and PulseChain getting all over the United States. Look at that. Pretty amazing meetup there by 2 of the big Hexagon influencers there. What else going on there? PulseChain.com. I think we're almost up to the top there. So that's all the stuff from Richard since our last live stream, since the 29th. You can see a lot of Rich doing a lot of promo work actually. Less live streams, but more promos. So pretty cool on that. I'm just going to recharge my headset here. All right, so I got the headset recharged. I don't want the battery to go flat there. So that's pretty cool from Richard Hart, the obviously founder of Hex and PulseChain. Like I said, there's all those other components to the ecosystem that's going to be built in. It's going to be pretty epic. So I understand the MetaMask, new MetaMask wallets not being worked on yet, but he's trying to pull up developers for that in due course, because obviously working on a lot of PulseChain, a lot of other parts of the ecosystem. That'll be interesting to see when that comes out. So that's pretty cool. Testnet is up and running. You guys got the links to that. Looking good. Got the blockchain scalp explorer, which is a lot of fun just to check around. Obviously you can add it to your MetaMask, and you can transfer TPLS around to different wallets on the PulseChain network. Let's go a quick look at Hex and see where Hex is. Obviously Hex is the poster child for PulseChain. So we're going to go full screen on this and check this out. This is the hourly here. So you can actually see that it's been pretty much consolidating here has got a little bit of an uptrend in the last couple of hours, up to 43%. So this is actually, I think this is due to explode really to the next one. Let's have a look at the daily on the Hex here. I've got to make sure that I'm in the right pool. I want to be on the right pool here. I'm just going to jump to version layer 2. This is the biggest pool. Now remember that Hex is largely paired with the stablecoin USDC. So I think something like 80 to 85% is linked to stablecoin, which means that it really is less responsive to movements in Bitcoin, Ethereum, but it is really reliant on the underlying value demand for Hex, and this is going to be pretty interesting as well. So, like I say, I think rather than sacrificing, you know, with the terrible rates at the moment, then you really want to probably the best strategy is to just get Hex and get the copy of Hex on PulseChain, and you'll have that straight away on day one when it goes live. You'll have your copies over on the PulseChain. So that's what we're waiting for. So we had the sacrifice phase, the main part of it. Obviously, that's still got a tail end now. We've got the public testnet on at the moment, and it's got certain tests that it has to go through as well. And of course, then we've got going to have the actual fork, and then we'll have the mainnet, and that's when the price discovery goes on, and all hell break loose on that day, I'm sure, and in the days following. It's not going to just be one day. It's going to be quite an epic thing to see as well. So looking forward to that. On top of that, of course, is there's going to be all the automatic market makers and all that stuff going on. The bridge, narrow bridge, hopefully over to the ETH chain through Pulse to really drive a lot of value in Pulse. Be interesting to see how many people decide to sell their Pulse for P-Hex, and it'll be interesting to see whether how quickly parity on P-Hex is compared to E-Hex, and whether P-Hex moves to have a premium over E-Hex because of the fees on Ethereum. It's going to be interesting to see all that, of course. After you have the system state, of course, the T-share rate is going to be different. It's going to grow differently from the EHX one. So that's going to be interesting too. People will be not only be trying to chase down T-shares, obviously the Hex, they're going to need more Hex to get the chase down T-shares. It's going to be see how both chains react to that. Will they come down? Will they come down to parity, and so they'll equal the current value of EHX at the time of the system state? Will it be some parties decide to sell off? Will it be more buyers than there are sellers? And will it become a false sell-off, and maybe some big hands decide to eat up all the liquid Hex that's around? So there's lots of these different questions that are going to be answered, and of course we're still going to expect a pretty impressive degree of volatility with price discovery. Don't think you can't get rid of that, but it's going to be interesting to see how all the players play and what happens there. No one really knows. It's going to be pretty interesting. I think there's a little clues though, and we'll see how that goes. Now, the other thing I was going to say with Hex in particular, you can see the price here. It's definitely got this little bull flag, and so it's definitely due on the weekly to make another move. So that seems to be the case. Let's move to the weekly one there. Alex Casey's Force is pretty cool. It is pretty cool. And Switch 2 says, yeah, great work. I've missed this channel. Hey, Switch to Crypto. Hey, no doubt. I'm going to do lots more videos, not just covering PulseChain, but other stuff as well. So look forward for more for me on PulseChain and other stuff as well. Alex Casey said there will be demand both ways from PHEX to Pulse and Pulse to PHEX. It will be epic two-way price discovery. Absolutely, Alex. I actually think that they're both are going to get priced up, in my view, above where they started off at the beginning. So I'm actually pretty bullish on that. That's my view. Other people will hold different views on that, of course. Here's the weekly, of course. You can see that I think we're due for another pump here. And obviously we've got the delay when Pulse will go live. But I think that because there's so many fundamental scarcity in Hex that it's going to have a little boom there as well, with the TA looking good for it. Let's just go. I also want to jump over the daily Hex stats. Let me just pull it up. Daily Hex stats here. So I want to, if you're not don't have that, if you're in a Hex and you or Pulse, you should get this one as save it to your favorites. It's hexdailystats.com. Really is a pretty epic. TFM says, hey bro, when's Pulse Mainnet? Well, the developer for PulseChain the other day said that he's expecting it December now, which is the time frame I've always said on this channel that since we got the delayed time frame for sacrifice and stuff, and the testnet as well, that I expected it to be December. And I actually thought that'd be quite cool because it's kind of as an anniversary of Hex when it launched on the 2nd of December 2019. So remember it launched the 2nd of December 2019, but it actually had an all-time price low on the 4th or 5th. People keep using different numbers, but 4th or 5th of January. So that's just over a month afterwards. So are we going to see anything like that on Pulse? Is Pulse going to have some similar thing, or is it going to be quite different? And so I think there's so much excitement about it. It could be different. It could be quite different. Neil Robinson in the house. Hey, Neil, good to see you. Long time no see. Hi, sirs. Hey, good to see you, Neil. I do pick up your comments on the channel, by the way, Neil. Do appreciate that, and hopefully I've responded to most of them as well. Very exciting times. All right, so I just wanted to point out something. This is on dailystats.com. Let me just make this a bit bigger. So obviously this has all the daily stats on Hex, which I think is pretty cool. That's well. Let me have got price here. Let me just jump along here. Now, a couple of key things. Of course, the T-share rate only ever goes up and to the right. So it's going up constantly every day. We do get some days where it's zero. There's no increase in the day, which I find quite interesting. We had 2 days where the T-share rate was zero. I thought that was pretty interesting. The other thing, of course, is the main one I want to show is this liquidity pool. So this liquidity pool, obviously, when the price goes up, it means people are buying a token. In this case, Hex, right? And so it becomes less scarce. So it wouldn't actually take too many people to be. If you have the different levels, if you're familiar with the different levels like Sharks and stuff in Staker app, you'll know that there's not that much liquid Hex around to actually become like a shark and stuff like that. So it's all it takes is one shark coming and the price just really moons. So it's gonna be interesting to see that stuff play out as well. So regardless of PulseChain, you've still got the scarcity in play, but then you're going to copy them both over. So it's going to be interesting to see whether people snap up that marginal amount of Hex that's in the play there. So that's pretty interesting. Liquidity pool, just 90 million Hex there at the moment available. So obviously, if that gets copied over the PulseChain, there'll be 90 equivalent 90 million over on the PulseChain there. So it's going to be interesting to see that play out. Alex K says, how 2 coins that only trade against each other initially be both priced up? It will be madness. I think so too, Alex. I think so too. Jamie, yes, yes, there will be a centralized exchange coming too. Copy of best of ETH and BSC. Centralized exchange, right. So that'd be pretty epic too. Copy of best of ETH and Hex. So this is the other thing. There's going to be PulseChain's going to have its own index, as I understand. So listed PulseChain coins. I understand that Nomics.com will be listing PulseChain one, so they may have a separate listing on that, or it'll be interesting to see how they play that out. Maybe they'll just take a selection of the top coins on PulseChain and put it on their main index. So we're interesting to see whether they have a secondary index for PulseChain on Nomics.com. That's going to be interesting too. Neil Robinson says, since big institutions have started being nice now, could be good to see them being interested in Pulse and buying up. That's exactly what I've been talking about, Neil. There's been quite a bit of talk about that in the community, and I definitely think that that's in the game. So that's in the game. All right, I thought I had plugged this in, but it's not. I tried to plug in my batteries there, but it's not plugged in. Just a moment. All right, there's a short intermission. That's a short intermission for that. But yeah, definitely. I think that there's big money in this game. PulseChain is going to be huge, and like Overwatch and stuff, I think they're positioning for it. They're going to build an ecosystem. The projects all wanting to come on. Obviously, the big thing, of course, is the logic. It's layer one, and then you're going to DeFi that's struggling to survive on Ethereum because of the fees are going to come over to PulseChain. It's just like a no-brainer. It's just market needs and market fit. It really is pretty epic. Hex Ranger says, great scream. Hey, great stream. Thanks, Hex Ranger. I think I might have a drink because probably getting a little. All right, cool. So this the cool thing. So this is going to be interesting. This part here. I think there's a few other things that are interesting here. The amount of T-shares, of course, I find this interesting. So obviously, any project that has T-shares in it, it's interesting. As you get more demand, you're going to expect to get more T-shares up to a point, and then at some stage it's going to start falling off as the price, especially if you get price appreciation. So it's interesting to watch this as well. And of course, this is going to be copied over to PulseChain. So it's going to be interesting to see how that diverges as well over time with Hex. So on the ETH chain. So PHEX versus, PHEX versus EHEX. So that's going to be pretty interesting. And of course, a lot of these figures are going to diverge. They're going to be divergent, but how close will they parallel each other? It's going to be pretty interesting to see that. So all these numbers here are all pretty much headline numbers, circulating supply, etc. And of course, penalties will be really interesting to watch because obviously you might get 5.75 hex per T-share on eHex, and but that can be heavily influenced by penalties. So if we actually go back a couple of weeks ago, we come back to day 658, and of course there were 95 million in penalties from a large account early unstaking and taking I think it was about $6 million or something like that, but they gave up so much more hex on that penalty. That was one of the 4 or 5 biggest penalty days. And of course, it was 10 hex per T-share that was paid to stakers, because stakers always win, right? Stakers always win despite the fact that this was a pretty major sell down by one particular holder. I think they were in the shark level from memory. So pretty interesting there. Yeah, either a big dolphin or a shark, can't remember now, but they were pretty big there on that level. So that's going to be interesting to see how that plays out on Pulse as well. So it's going to be interesting there. What was the other thing I thought was pretty interesting? Yeah, so the hexes obviously benefit from huge interest in PulseChain, and so we've seen these figures here. Let me just jump to page 1 here. So this is back to the current day that we just finished. We're on day 679. This is day 678, and just interesting to see the total change in holders here as well. So you got these are positive numbers increasing each day. So pretty strong growth, right? In the old hex per day. The change in stakers, of course, has been pretty high as well. But these are actually down from the previous weeks. I think we can, we just go, this is the last 10 days. We'll go to the previous 10 days. You can see they're even higher, up at 400. We go back to the previous 10 days. Then you've got 500 here, 1200. So during the testnet phase, obviously there's a bit of a lull between now, the testnet's on and when the testnet will, the fork will happen to go live. But I think you're going to see massive ramp up when the fork comes out. That's just going to be supercharged, folks, when the fork thing. And I do believe Richard was saying that we're going to probably get a couple of days of notice on that. We'll find out gamification when he finally decides on that. But that's going to be pretty interesting, and we could see explosive growth again. But like as I say, at the moment, we've got total change in holders, change in current holders here. That's total holders, so current holders, probably a better metric here on the current holders there. And you can see that if you even look at current holders, you got 470, 500, so it really does get bigger. And then we go back a couple of weeks, look at this, up over 1,000 there. And of course, we're up at 2,000 at one day on day 647. So interesting to see the momentum, folks, happening here. Now, obviously got a bit of a tapering off at the moment, but still very good numbers despite the tapering. Is back to the current last 10 days. But if we go back, say 40 days ago, you're up at 2,000 here. We go back 50 days and you're back, back up there. So we did have some peaks as well. It's going back 60 days here, 70 days. You can see the numbers. Look at the numbers that were originally around. Look at these numbers here. And then as we move forward in time, they just kept climbing. So it's 50 days, 40 days. Look at these numbers, beautiful. 30 days and some really terrific numbers here in the growth. So I actually look at those really closely. It's going to be interesting to see how those go as well. But I think once the fork comes, you're going to see a resurgence here to what we had 40 days ago. And see those numbers continue to climb, but they're holding at a pretty good level, I think. So I thought that's pretty interesting. This is at hexdailystats.com. Really something you should save to your favorites if you're in Hex or PulseChain. Really is pretty impressive on that. All right, so pretty cool. We've had a look at the weekly, of course. I think that's about to go. Of course, there is a bit of a gap. It is a little bit different from normal pressure, but I think that as the PulseChain moves, Testnet moves forward, and we've got a nice bull flag on there, that we'll probably get that price move on. I know that some other, Hex can promote influencers out there like Gerardo and people, definitely looking at that as well. So it's going to be interesting to see that play. At the moment, sort of just sitting here, but hey, the next week could be pretty interesting to see this move up as well. So pretty cool on that. All right, let's get back in. And Neil says, yes, as long as it's not BNB. Yeah, that's right. Hex Ranger says, what side is that? So that's, I put that in the chat just above there. It's hexdailystats.com. Hex Daily Stats. You should save it to your favorite if you're involved in Hex or Pulse. For people in Pulse, of course, you're going to be interested, especially if you're going to be after P-holes. P Hex on PulseChain. You want to keep an eye on all those demand figures. They kind of give you just an indicator of how the excitement and the attention is going, because obviously Hex is the Pulse is the flagship and probably the best strategy at the moment to pick up tokens on the PulseChain as well. And obviously, if you're buying Hex on ETH chain, you're actually helping the rest of Hex as well, because you're pushing the market up as well. So it's all kind of a win-win from that point of view. Now, people talk about a possible sell-off, of course, when you get price discovery on PulseChain. Like I said, there's not a lot of Hex on there, but obviously you do get unstakers. We've seen early unstakers come out during the sacrifice phase in particular. Obviously, the use case, of course, for sacrificing Hex was to get pulse points, and so we saw quite a bit of that. Then that's why we have experienced some of that stuff. So yeah. What else we got? Alex says last link, Hex Daily Stats. That's right. So very cool on that. All right, so that's going to be interesting to see the next week. I reckon that's looking ready for a jaunt, but once again, we do have a bit of a gap in pressure, and that's what you're after, pressure. But I think that gap will come maybe towards the end of the PulseChain testnet, and maybe with the and definitely with the fork. When you get the fork on, it's going to drive insane demand. So that's going to be pretty crazy as well. Definitely very excited by the end of the year. My price predictions for Hex in particular, definitely around the, I'm pretty compelled by the $1 to $1.50 mark. So it's going to be pretty interesting. Then next quarter, of course, I'm super bullish as well. And plus, with all the ecosystem components coming out for PulseChain, around PulseChain, I think it is going to be amazing, amazing. I'm more bullish now than I used to be. And I used to be bullish, and now I'm more bullish. So yeah, definitely very excited about this. I think it covers, like I say, you own your keys, you own your coins. It's going to be a better Ethereum, and it's going to enable DeFi to flourish, NFTs to flourish as well, while you own your coins, which I think those two things together are pretty awesome. So I'm super excited that. Plus, of course, huge value opportunity, X pumpamentals for everybody involved. So pretty cool. And I think people that actually hold longer, like they did for Hex, will benefit the most. Obviously, just my opinions, nothing investment advice. You must do your own due diligence, but that's where I'm sitting at the moment on this. Very excited indeed. All right, Business 2K says, I'm bullish for the rest of the year. Yeah, me too. And I'm super bullish for next year. As I said to you, a lot of these ecosystem components will play out next year. And I'm super excited about that too. And of course, crossing over from pre-viral into some form of virality is going to be amazing because it's so scarce. As I said to you, at the moment, even for the Hex on the ETH chain, 90 million Hex on the market, that's not a lot when you suddenly get either some big buyers or virality going. That stuff gets eaten up pretty fast. So it's going to be very interesting to watch that. Neil Robinson says, you think coin market cap will correctly list Pulse price and ranking, or a salty gatekeeping like the Hex? So coin, it'll be interesting with Pulse. They'll possibly treat Pulse a bit different, but they do with the court case on with the private Hex investor at the moment. They'll see how that plays out, because we'll see whether they do an out-of-court settlement for Hex listing, which would probably be what they will do. It's what I'm expecting. But if it does go to a full court, then that's going to be pretty epic to see the outcome of that, and that could have quite a lot of ramifications for listing sites everywhere. So we'll see. But I think PulseChain's got a better chance. But like I say, there's a bit of a hostile environment there at the moment with the First of all, with CoinMarketCap themselves and Binance ownership and stuff like that. But secondly, with the fact that the court case is on, so we'll see. But I'm quietly optimistic about it. But although that said, CoinMarketCap is very slow at running the administration on their site. They're pretty slow compared to Nomics.com, which is super fast. They're pretty onto it. CoinGecko is kind of in the middle. CoinGecko. I am thinking that Coinbase. I'm thinking Hex on Coinbase could be something that could come up sooner than later. So I'm actually optimistic about that. So let us know in the chat if you've got any insights that I haven't talked about. It's a great way of sharing with the rest of the community, of course. We're all super excited about this. We don't get to see every piece of information that's coming out, but if you've seen something that I haven't mentioned, put it in the chat. All right, Hex Ranger says end of next price. Yeah, like I said, my price prediction, $1.50 by December is my guess for Hex. Pulse, of course, there's people been talking up to 250x. I'm expecting the price of Pulse. Alex might want to chime in on this, but I've been expecting it's coming in and have at least probably 3 zeros, 3 zeros, 0.4 or something like that. We'll see where that comes out. Yeah, year end. All right. Yeah, I think it could do. I mean, it's just difficult to tell what it can do. It's going to be. I just know it's going to be high. The price movement's going to be high. It's hard to pick a number, but it's going to be pretty high. The number of X's on PulseChain launch. And the other thing is, of course, how many people will sell PulseChain for other coins. If you start, everyone starts off with a certain amount of coins. If they sell them off, there could be some big buyers of Pulse you see on the market at the time. So they could snap up heaps of Pulse coins. And if you think about the Origin wallet holding all its Pulse coins or whatever that's going to be, I don't see that. I don't see that. I don't see that selling just like it doesn't sell in Hex. I just think it's managing the total supply and the concentration fundamentals from there, and therefore you're going to have the independent big players like Overwatch. They could potentially be buying. The God whales out there too. So they may just increase their positions on that. It's going to be interesting to see how them play out, rather than profit taking everywhere. We'll see how they play out in there. But if people are sucking off supply, you remember that total supply is fixed at the beginning and only declines. There's no inflation. So the logic for those players, if they're big enough, they just buy up heaps more of that liquid Pulse. And if people are willing to sell their Pulse for other tokens, maybe they want to get P-Hex, or maybe they want to get Unicoin, P-Uni or something like that, then or stable coins as well, because there's people playing for the stable coins. Someone asked about that earlier. There'll be people trying to get copies of the stable coins over there as well. They basically double their bags. If they're risk averse, they might just try to do that. Accumulate coins over on eHex, and obviously have them get a P-Hex version. And so we'll see. And we'll also watch out what the custodials do that are on the Ethereum at the moment with the stable coins. What they do on the PulseChain. I imagine they're just going to support it. In my view, I don't see any reason why they wouldn't. All right. Alex Case says nobody knows. 1 cent is the target, but it may take longer, but likely next year, in my opinion. Yeah, I'm probably with you, Alex, on that. A lot of people talk about 1 cent. This seems the psychological number, but it may not quite get to that straight away. Also, it could spike up there, do something crazy. Like I said, I actually think there's going to be a little more. Personally feel there's going to be more buyers than sellers, and we'll see. We'll see how that goes. Jeff says, what will be the best coin to hold at launch? Like I said, Hex or stablecoin or Unicoin, something like that. Some of those top ones. Pulse Robertson says Pulse could jump to top 5 coin. Yeah, I think so. Well, I'm expecting pretty much the Hex, Pulse, and all that to dominate crypto in the next 18 months. Expecting that. Alex Case says Hex. Yeah, Hex. Yeah, that's right. That's why I'm covering Hex as well, is because if you want to get a copy of Hex on PulseChain, then you just buy Hex, and you're gonna you help yourself, but you also help the ecosystem as well. So we'll see. We'll see what it has. Like I said, it's going to be interesting to see the time ahead, for sure. And this may be the low price area for Hex. People may look back at this and go, "Oh my gosh, only 42 cents." It's kind of like that. Once Hex moves over $1 and it stays over $1, then and dollar is a psychological point, right? Because if it gets to $1, a lot of people will want to sell, even with the lower liquidity. They may early unstake, they may stake maturing stakes. This is the last thing I wanted to talk about. I want to talk about this. I think it's really important. So I think it's Hex.vision. Let's go to Hex.vision. I think it's that one. So this is one I want to talk about. Thank goodness I thought of it, because it's actually kind of the reason why I wanted to do this video in some way, live stream in some ways. But I actually am going to intend on doing a lot more PulseChain on a regular basis, maybe daily or maybe every second day. We'll see. I do love PulseChain, so I could talk about it for ages. That's for sure. So this is Hex.vision, so website. Let me just get a copy of this. If you want to check this out, bam. Alex Casey, stable copy is a risky play in my opinion. Yeah, I do know some people that are doing it though, Alex. They're going for the double. They're quite risk averse, so that's the way they're doing it. The other side of it, of course, is that it is risky. You've got the custodial issue. You've got the idea whether it gets back 1 for 1. But I think the market's just going to value it around $1, give or take, plus or minus a little bit. We'll see how that happens, but that's where I think it's going to go. But you know, once again, you have to have this custodial that could try and block that. Alex Case says high risk, low reward. Yeah, that's true. That's true. So there we are. Hex.vision is the site. So what I wanted to show you, folks? We're going to go. We're on the home page here, but I want to scroll right to the bottom, and I wanted to look at the open stakes by expected time. So this is the staking profile. This is the right one. This is 4 weeks. That's the one I want. I can't remember now. Let me go. Where am I on the right one here? Staking maybe. Let me jump around here. I thought that was at the bottom there. That doesn't. I might need to. I might have changed the time frame on that. Let me just double check. We're just going to double check, folks. Here we go. All right. So I'm just going to pull it up. This is a very good site. Yeah. So is this going to run? I've got. What's the date here? 29. Yeah, this is the one I want. So this is the one here. This is the whole time frame. So you can see the end of this here is 2037. The year 2037 sounds like something out of Star Trek. So there we are. All right. So at the moment here we are. What have we got? So this is a crimson color at the back here. Now that's the total cumulative T shares. So you can see we get all the way up to the top at the end there. By 2037, we've got pretty much just over 11 million. T shares. It says 10.9, but it's just over 11. And you can see that actually jumps up from 6.5 million T shares. So T share means a trillion shares. It's just a way of making that simple. So instead of talking about all the zeros behind it, you just say T shares, sort of rounding number. And it's just a way they explain how you get hex per T share as well, your interest basically, and any penalties. But so here we are. This is year 2029, 18th of September. You've got cumulative T shares expiring 6.5. So we know there's 11 million T shares at the moment. Obviously, over time, there's going to be more people staking, but the T share rate's going up, so it costs them. They have to have more hex to get the same amount of T shares, right? So at the moment, that's about 19,000 hex per T share, based on a 2-day stake, right? So obviously you stake longer, you get more T shares based on the amount of hex that you have. But the maximum period is 3,650 days, which is 10 years. You can actually stake that longer for 15.2 years, which is 5,555 days. But you don't get a better rate, a bonus rate. You just get the 10-year rate. So, you get that for longer, 5 years longer. So that's a cool way of holding on to T shares longer from that point of view. But here we are. We've got September 2029. We jump from 6.5 million. And then we jump up with in a very small space of time. What's that? About half a year, and we jump up to 8.5. So 6.5 is about 2 million T shares in this maturing in this period. That's what these candles are. You got these stakes expiring. You got 2 billion hex there as well. So you got 2.33 billion there. So what's interesting about this is obviously in the future there's a lot less stakes in this period, but that will get filled up later, but less T shares overall. because the share rate's going up and the price of Hex is going up. So that's the idea. But you're going to get a copy of this, right? It's going to be two of these, going to be eHex and pHex. So it's going to be interesting to see how they differ over time. But this is the eHex one at the moment. You see there's a lot of gap there. So people typically would stake in these gaps so they're not maturing at the similar times that these other people are. But of course, all depends on when you want to get your returns back. Obviously, some people cycle their returns as well, so they'll reinvest, maybe just take the interest off and reinvest the principal, stuff like that goes on. So there's all different sort of strategies. But at the moment, what I want to point out was that we're in the last couple of months. The last couple of months of these big towers, these big early OGs. A lot of these will be OGs, not all of them, but a lot of them will be OGs. And this is the last couple of months. Now, we've had this all year. Of course, we've had this all the year through 2021. We've had lots of big, giant towers of stakes maturing at this time. And of course, they've all gone. We've passed through all this. We had PulseChain Sacrifice, which helped to absorb quite a bit of stuff as people sacrificed all that Hex. So that's pretty cool. But what we're in at the moment, and this is the interesting thing with the price at the moment, is that yes, we've got about 90 million Hex in the liquidity pools on Uniswap. But look at this. We've only got a couple of months to absorb this current Hex. What's it going to do? Restake. People are going to chase down T-shares, as many are, especially a lot of hardcore Hexkins down getting at the stake, trying to capture those T-shares, because T-shares only get more expensive, only goes up and to the right. It's as they say, it's a better price chart than Hex, as it were. But you've only got a couple of months. What's going to happen after this when these towers fall down and you've only got these smaller towers? I mean, you're looking jumping down from, a couple billion Hex here down to, 100 billion, less than 100 billion, less than 1 billion Hex expiring by the time you get to January 2022. So you've just got a couple of months of these, and no doubt a lot of these people will just restake and stuff, trying to get T-shares. It's going to be fascinating, folks, to see this as well play out over the next couple of months. So I see by January, I see Hex really having a good chance of having, even after PulseChain excitement, it's obviously going to get big demand for that. And typically people are saying sell-off. I think the sell-off, if there is any one, it could be quite short-lived because you've got these lower stakes here coming out, and the T-shares are really low. You're talking about 1 million T-shares all in through this period maturing, and then you've still got 10 million T-shares. And of course, a lot of people will typically, restake for T-shares and stuff like that into the future. So you could see a lot more stakes coming out in here all throughout this period here. So pretty interesting to watch after this period what happens there. It'll be interesting to see what you think about that, Alex. Let me know in the chat, or anybody else that's watching. Business 2 cases, the new gold rush. This is exciting, absolutely. Alex Casey, stable copy might give you 2x in the unlikely best case scenario. Copy of Hex can give you multiple. Yeah, it's absolutely right, Alex. I mean, you're so spot on with that. I don't see how this is a risk averse play, but each pick their own strategy. Yeah, it's been interesting watching some of those people talking about the stable coins one. Yeah, so that's what I wanted to point out was when this mountain of stakes, which is smaller than the previous ones, we used to have much higher candles than this maturing. Boy, oh boy, there's not a lot to hold Hex back from this point of view, apart from, of course, there being a copy on PulseChain. But good chance that both of the eHex and pHex will do very well, and even a little better after these get moved forward as well. So it's going to be interesting watching that. Now we do get some people with a lot of Hex OGs in particular with pretty big bags rolling stakes monthly. We do get quite a bit of that. We see that on the stake wrap. People doing 30 days all the time and then taking the interest and then rolling it again 30 days. We do see quite a bit of that. So it's interesting to see how that plays out. But like I say, I thought this was pretty interesting. I was watching this right from the beginning of 2021 where we had these huge maturing staking candles, and then PulseChain came along. I thought, fantastic, PulseChain. That's a use case for Hex, getting Hex off the market. I like that. And then we've got this here as well. And remember, the OG controls a lot of the liquid Hex and has a decent amount of the staking, somewhere like 13-18% of staking as the last time we had a audit done. So I'm interested to see. I think this is a big variable that's going to play into scarcity on the Hex chain. So I'll be looking forward to this play out next year as well. Also, nothing certain about that, but just seems logical that once that plays out, it will be different, more scarce. CoinMarketCap will not be able to hide Hex much longer. PulseChain and Hex will reign supreme. Flipping BTC and ETH, we are pre-file. Yeah, that's the other. Yeah, good one there. A1. The other thing, of course, Richard's building out an ecosystem that can stand alone with huge game fundamentals and solving the issues of the other networks, as well as growing the audience. So I think that's it's pretty epic. It's going to be a pretty epic future for PulseChain from that point of view. So yeah, good point there. Yeah, so he's got 4 pillars that he's trying to get in place. So we'll see how that. I think I'll have 3 in place by the time we get to December. We'll see what we get on there. So he's going to obviously have a copy of Uniswap version 2 up and running. It's going to be pretty awesome, and market makers there. His preference is for a narrow channel to the ETH chain with PulseChain to really drive all the value through Pulse. And then you could have some loop arounds where you got Pulse, the tokens actually reinforcing each other through Hex and other tokens. So yeah. So back to the strategy, I think that Hex, obviously getting Hex is probably the best strategy. Get a copy of on Hex chain. Obviously, there's relatively limited supply. The only stuff that comes out, of course, is from the stakers that gets added, or liquid wallets, stuff that's sitting in liquid wallets. And there are a few big players with those decent amounts in there. Especially the Godwild hasn't moved their purchases, at least the last time I checked, which was recently. And so it's going to be interesting to see how they play out in the ecosystem. But I think quite a few of them, like Overwatch, are wanting to build onto PulseChain and create a lot of businesses on there from that point of view. So maybe taking a different approach to value creation. So it's going to be pretty fun. So yeah, that's some cool stuff there. Let's have a look. Bam. Obviously, we've moved back to, I'm going to go back to nomics.com. Let's go to nomics.com. Yes, I think there's a reasonable chance of Hex getting on Coinbase, is my guess. We'll watch out for that space. I think there's a lot of work being done with billionaires, being done with Wall Street, Harvard type guys. Remember Hex Richards and coordinating with some Harvard team there as well. So there's lots of different things happening. A lot of the big players are talking to their big player friends. So I think there's a lot of fun, a lot of financial energy going to come into the system. And obviously, we can see by those Hex stats that Hex is growing pretty well on the numbers base as well, and potentially crossing over to virality in 2022. But obviously getting a good head start this year on that, and that's only going to increase when the PulseChain fork comes. Everyone's going to what they say, every man and their dog's going to be wanting to get in onto the PulseChain, and when they get their fork, they're going to be collecting their tokens, putting it in their MetaMask wallet, and waiting for the copy to get copied over. So it's going to be pretty fun to watch that. So here was what I wanted to say was that obviously Bitcoin has looking bullish again now, crossed over that 52,000 USD mark, so that's looking really good. So it's a really good environment for value now for PulseChain. This is the other thing. Not only is the chance to get valued, we're doing a system state copy of Ethereum, but that the market itself is starting heads not far away back from its all-time high, and I think that's pretty exciting. So you can see that all over the periods of time we're in bull market. Look at those green numbers there, the yearly, the monthly, the weekly, the daily, the hourly, all green, bullish. So pretty awesome stuff. Let's just go back to the chart there. I was going to look here, so let me have a look down on here. Actually, we might just jump out it here, and I don't know if that's got the doesn't have the one that I wanted on it, the measure. Yeah, anyway, it's not far away from its all-time high, is it? So 64. So that's only another 7,000 or 8,000 to go to tackle that. So it's definitely looking bullish, folks. I'm very excited about the market value. So obviously, the higher crypto market value is, the higher the amount of the more wealth people have got, the more wealth they can transfer onto PulseChain, and the more value that PulseChain can have. And so I think that's all win-win-win. So it'd be really nice to get. Especially if Bitcoin can, does a huge rise to 70, 80,000, potentially to 100,000 plus by December, and PulseChain launches that time. Could you imagine launching at such a time as that? That would be truly amazing if it can get the time of breaking new all-time highs in Bitcoin. That would be huge, 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 and supercharge the value creation in PulseChain. And I think that's probably a good place to finish, folks. Hope you guys enjoyed this live stream. Touched quite a few topics there, and I'm gonna look at a few other ones too for next time. But I hope you guys enjoyed that. If you haven't joined this channel, of course, subscribe, like, share, hit the bell. Helps with the algorithms and stuff like that. If you want to join as a member of this channel, of course, with more great content coming up, more discussions, more hangouts, get into it. Hit the join button. We've got Axionites, Elites, Heroes, and Krakens. I love the Kraken one. Get onto that and look forward to it. Hey, Alex, once again, thanks for being head mod as always, and all your valuable information. To appreciate it. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. David Gomez is in the house. Great stream. Thank you. Hey, David, do appreciate it. And SKB, it would be epic. SKB, it's going to be super duper good. And I really love your stuff there, SKB, and what you do too for the community. Keep up the good work there, SKB. And another Axion, you're actually a token member. Great to see you in the chat as well. Alex K, fantastic stream. Thanks, man. No problem. Great place to finish there, I think. So thanks for watching, and I'll be back on later today for the Axion Accelerator live stream, which I do daily. Catch me then, everybody. And I will be doing a PulseChain more regularly, and I'll be covering other key topics like NFTs is probably the next one I'll be doing. Non-fungible tokens, we're going to go through a whole market review of all that. So hopefully if you're interested in NFTs, check that one out as well. Finally, as we say, Rob says, my theory as to why no big stakes going to 22 is everyone wants to stay liquid and will dump EHEX after the snapshot. 1 cent EHEX soon. Yeah, so you might get a bit of that, Rob, but you also, I think there's some big buyers out there too, so it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out, Rob, but that's a fair scenario for sure. All right, take care now. Thanks, brother. Good work. Thank you. Hey, you're most welcome, A1. All right, bye for now. Take care. See you later.